Yeah, we got a few minutes before 7 p.m. Hello, family.
What's up, people? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. You okay? You comfortable?
Yes.
Because that's the whole point of this conversation tonight.
Well, of course. Well, of course.
Awesome. So, hey, family. This is Erica Jefferson Rivers, your sister Erica, with your Tuesday sister check in. I am joined this evening by my love, Charles Rivers. And tonight, I just want to talk about rest. Rest has been heavy on my mind, and I've been talking about it a lot this week. I think I also touched on it some other time, and I want to touch on it again. Okay. What are the things that are preventing you from being able to get some rest? And I'm not coming today with 5 points to do this and 4 points to do that. What I really want you to do is come on in and join us. We are in the bedroom, which might be obvious by the headboard, but it's really just to emphasize, right? Slowing down and getting into your place of comfort. And so I want you to come in, get comfortable, just join us for a little bit of a conversation. I have my favorite pillow here because I do still believe that life is beautiful. I have a little blanket here that I just got across my lap. I got a cup of cocoa, and I'm ready to just start to unwind, right? And let's just have a little bit of a conversation about rest and those rest saboteurs, those things that really sabotage our ability to recuperate and not just to get rest, but really to change our mindsets and our thought patterns around what rest means, what rest is. That rest is not a reward. That I really want us to start normalizing rest, rejuvenation, recuperation, relaxation into our actual plan, into our to-do list. And I'm gonna talk about that a little bit too. It's something that I just read. But yeah, what are your thoughts, babe, when it comes to rest?
Well, I'm a, approach it from a different standpoint. Why
Okay.
is it impossible sometimes to feel like we can rest?
Hmm.
The last thing I posted was I hadn't been in a weight room for a couple of days, and lo and behold, I got an article in on online that says 2 to 3 weeks, all the gains that you have gained in terms of lifting weights, running, will go to the wayside once
Mm.
you put away that obsession of working out. Now, that's just working out. You have individuals that, as a teacher, you'll tell your students, you need to read over the summer break because when you come back, or read over the weekend, because when you come back, I can tell when you haven't done any reading because I can tell by the answers you give or the way that you interact in the classroom. Nonetheless, whether it's the young or the old, whether it's individuals that's pursuing financial gain or physical gains, it's hard to say, time out, man. I need
Mhm.
5 minutes. I need 10 minutes. I need 2 weeks. I need a month. Um, and the college profession, they call it a it just lost I just lost the word. I'm going on a sabbatical.
Sabbatical.
I'm going
Hmm.
on a sabbatical. And during a sabbatical, you walk away from your work in general. You might still study and read and research some things, but
Hmm.
the day to day grind comes to a halt. And lo and behold, the idea of FOMO, fear of missing out. And then I read something the other day. It said the joys of missing out. Um,
Hmm.
how do you turn the fear into a joy? I guess is what I'm getting at. How do we turn the idea of I'm not on the scene when you're younger. You're not at the party. You're not at the club, or I'm not in the boardroom that I need to be in, and being okay with the fad, the moment passing you by, and being okay knowing that the way I used to approach some things sometimes is the party don't start till I get there anyway. And remember to get remember remind yourself, remember that it is your life. You are the main character. And so when the main character, you say cut, things will cut. And people will catch up to you where you are, when you are, and when you decide to step back onto the scene. And then you can let them behind the scenes and tell them why you decided to take a breath.
Right. And so what I'm hearing you say, I actually heard you say a number of different kind of things that kind of ran together, but you started off with talking about working out and talking about like classwork, because that's two areas that touch our lives, right? Being working on a college campus, you having your fitness goals. There are things that need to get done,
Mm,
right? There are places where our presence is needed.
gotta be there, huh?
And getting rest doesn't have to necessarily always mean that you're missing out on something, that you're letting someone down, that
Mm,
you're not accomplishing the things that you actually want to accomplish. What I feel happens from my experience and also from what I've been reading so far with that is we can hit those goals so hard sometimes, right? And build these unhelpful mind processes, right?
mm,
Just these unhelpful thought patterns around what it means to achieve, what it means to be successful, what it means to get something done, that we don't factor rest in until we're already
depleted,
exhausted,
huh?
until we're depleted, right?
Yeah.
And so even with working out, when I'm on when I'm on my grind, or before, now I think of about it a little bit differently. But when I was really on my grind, it's always like an off and an on, because I hadn't figured out how to incorporate the rest days in
Mm,
with the go hard days. It always felt like rest was either the reward for working out hard, right? Or rest was the, whoa, I did a little too much and my body is telling me I need to sit down,
slack it up.
right? As opposed to saying, I'm going to incorporate how I rest, how I recover. And I feel like most like really good sports
That's the
plans and
recovery.
and
Yeah.
mhm, talk about recovery, talk about how do you recover, your muscles with things that you do, the things that maybe supplements or things that you take. And I don't think it's any different when it comes to our work lives, when it comes to our home lives, especially thinking about being a parent. um, I was talking to you. No, I think I was talking. Was I talking to you, or was I talking to my coworker? I'm seeing now. Now that I have to go to work every day, I forget. Most of all of my conversations were with Charles, but now I have to interact with other people, and now I have to see. Part of the problem is I have to remember who the heck am I talking to. But I
Nonetheless.
was talking to someone about, especially as a parent, and I can remember as being, a young parent. Why don't we normalize rest with our children, right? Why don't we normalize relaxation and time away? I've been watching TikTok and IG videos, and they've been really cute. Where the parent, usually a mom, is handling their toddler, like different items, like a toothbrush,
Mm,
eyelashes,
mhm,
deodorant, to
mhm.
see if the child knows what to do with them.
Oh, God
And in
knows.
so many instances, like the children know exactly what to do, and it's like supposed to be kind of a gauge of how much alone time, right? Or whether or not the parent, and like I said, a lot of times it's the mom, whether or not they get any alone time. And that's a lot of parents' testimonies, right? They can't go to the bathroom without their kid being right there. They can't do nothing without the kid being right there. But I also think back to a time, particularly when I was starting to go through my breast cancer journey. And what my kids understood was time out.
Mm,
And so there would be times when I would tell them, "Mommy is in the timeout. Mommy is in the timeout." And I didn't worry so much about whether or not they thought that was because I was being bad. I didn't build that type of discipline with them for because they were being bad. And sometimes they needed a reset. And sometimes that's true. I needed a reset and I needed to be able to do it right without them being right up under me. And so And I probably need to really ask them about that. But I'm just wondering how that may have even played out differently for me at that time. If I had known and had the vocabulary and the wherewithal to normalize that with them, to normalize self care, right? Not that, oh, you're going to go to your room and you're going to go do this because I'm fed up and I need some time to myself, but to really be able to say, this is our self care time. I'm going to do this. Elisha, what do you want to do? Tim, you're going to do this. And, even talking to my husband at the time, maybe being able to say, what do you want to do?
in terms of resting.
In terms of rest, in terms of rest and self care, right? And building that rejuvenation in. And so that's one way to potentially think about how we start to normalize it.
Well, I think in general, whether it's uh, the soup du jour of the 50 things we need to do to be better human beings that we find, whether it be on
Right.
whatever magazine, whatever social media platform. The catch is, to me, you grab hold to one of those things. I'm gonna get rest. Transitioning is one of the words I use often, and
Hmm.
transitioning to rest. But you're trying to create a lifestyle. You're implementing some habits within your life that should, the idea is, help you to make better decisions, be a better informed individual.
Hmm.
And rest, lo and behold, allows us to active. When we decide to be active, we're more astute. You got to get your rest. If you don't get your rest, you're not going to be your best
Yeah.
in certain situations where you are, where it's needed you're 100%.
It's like what allows you to enjoy being active, right? And
In
I think
addition
about
to,
sometimes, especially at the time when I was at my previous job and I was exhausted. And it's like, well, let's go do things that you normally enjoy doing. Let's go karaoke or let's go, bowling or shoot some pool or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I go because I'm trying to keep the peace, but nobody's enjoying it. It's like you can't even enjoy what's
what you
supposed to
would
be
enjoy.
play, right? What's supposed to be that time of rejuvenation doesn't even connect with you because you've already reached such a level of depletion. I remember when we the one of the first times we went to Vegas,
Mhm.
and that was during COVID, but I was back on campus, and that was like a hellacious semester. And I just remember being in tears, like by the second day. We're on vacation and I can't even relax. Like I was so wound up. It took me a few days, some tears, a pep talk, uh, to really get to a place where I could finally, right, mentally, physically,
Divorce yourself from that space,
spiritually,
so to speak.
yeah, just really be able to
Separate yourself
finally
from that space.
reach to that place, to de-stress enough to even be able to enter into a state of something that felt like rest.
Yeah, fight or flight. When we stay in a heightened state of being
Hmm.
at all times, it's hard to rest. You have to feel secure.
Yeah.
You have to feel secure. At the very least, you have to feel safe and secure, that I can put my guards down, um, that I am in a safe space, and that there is someone around me that will, if you will, catch you back up when you decide to
Right.
wake up.
Right.
A good rest, what I call it, one of those rests when it's like a control alt delete.
Yeah.
It's like somebody pulled the cord out the wall. You wake up and you're like,
Mhm.
whoa, what? You wake up, do I supposed to go to school? Where? And
Right.
you graduated 20, 30 years ago. And it's hard to manufacture, as you were saying, manufacture a good time.
Hmm.
It just comes naturally. And so the reason I mentioned all those goals and how we are trying to implement those goals, um, one foot in front of the other. Make it a, like you say, make it a habit, make it a commitment to say 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is. That for me, rest is not going to look like laying down. It's just don't. My body is
Right. Right.
wired.
It
So
doesn't look. Hmm.
So breathe, take a deep breath, whatever it is. People will take a smoke break. That's how some people decide to relax. And if you're trying to get away from that, now how can I relax and still get away from this? And so
Mhm.
you talk yourself through your next step.
Yeah.
And
And what that looks like for you may look very different. Like Charles and I, as much as we have in common, the way that we rest and even the way that we play sometimes is not the same. Like for me, I believe in the nap ministry. There's not a Jefferson alive, whether they related to me
uh,
or not. I am just convinced that if you have Jefferson in your name or your family, you take naps.
you
So that was
supposed to,
something
right?
that was normalized in my family, right? And so even my children nap. Like we will nap. And so I remember hearing that the adage that you could sleep when you're dead.
Yeah, that's where I come
You
from.
could sleep when you're
I
dead.
never sleep.
But I'm
Cause
like, you
sleep
don't
is
mess
the
around and be
president.
dead before you're ready to go to sleep. Ooh, how
It's a
about that?
there's
So,
a balance. There's a
there is a
balance.
balance
There's a
because the
balance.
thing about our bodies is going to get
It's gonna tell
what
you
it
when to go to sleep
needs.
when
And
I'm
I've
ready. Ready.
had enough times where my body has said, "Oh, Happy, you don't want to sit down? Okay, well, you know what? You gonna sat down, not sit down. You gonna sat down,
It's already too late,
and
right?
your body will set you down. And that's out, of course, outside of you know ailments, and there are so many things really that can affect our ability to rest, right? So many things, outside factors,
Peace of
internal
mind.
factors, um ailments and insomnia and things
Hmm.
that might need advanced help with, whether that's medication or therapy or something along or even a doctor's visit, to just general anxiety, or even people at your apartment complex who want to make um just kind of idiotic design choices and put in blinds that don't go all the way up to the top of the window. And so you have the light shining through your window keeping you awake. I'm not saying that that's my testimony, but it is, because I had to get some blackout shades. But the point that I'm making is that there are a lot of things, and sometimes, as Charles was pointing out, there are so many lists of do this, don't do that, right? Go here, don't go there. And it can become
Mm,
anxiety inducing
yes, it is.
trying to rest.
Hmm.
And that's what I didn't want to come in today. I was going to come in and talk about, well, let's talk about the rest saboteurs. Let's talk about all the things that take us away from rest. But actually, I don't want to increase your anxiety. I don't want to come on here with 4 tips, right? I wanted to come on here and maybe model some ability to
Oh, so
rest.
that's what we want.
That's why we sitting
She
in
did not
here.
tell me this is what's gonna happen, people.
I don't know. Well, you got the invite.
So here's your 4 steps on how to.
Here's your first step. If you're gonna try to rest and other people are
uh,
around, you might have to sneak up on it.
be open.
If you have a spouse or a child or somebody who needs some of your attention, then make it a rest game. Like, who could fall asleep first? Who can be quiet the longest? Who keep their eyes
No.
closed?
that'll
But
that'll work for so long. That'll work for so long. They become more energetic as well as determined.
yeah,
The
yeah,
kids, the kids do become determined.
exactly. And what I want to say is, just as kids become determined, as an adult, I
Mm,
want us to think about
everybody
rest
become
and be
determined.
determined
Hmm.
to incorporate it, to normalize it. I keep saying I'm reading this book called Rest is Resistance. I actually keep carrying around this book. As the honest answer. I really do have intention to start reading this book.
Excuse me.
I'd have read the intro about 5 times. So I am attempting to read this book, but don't laugh at me. I gave this dude the giggle. See,
Okay.
I'm about to say Your guest privilege is gonna be
You rested from a book. It
look,
can feel like a task. Go
and
ahead,
that's
forgive me.
exactly what it is. It's been feeling like too much of a
But
task. But the point that I wanted to
I'm sorry.
make,
Go ahead.
it's just even in the title,
Mm,
right? It's going to
mhm,
feel like resistance because at
okay.
least in this society, right? I'm in the United States of America, a capitalistic
Mm.
um
When you
democracy,
sleep, they working.
whatever.
You got to
And
work.
there are so many thoughts, right, around work and productivity
Mm,
and anti-laziness
mm,
and who you are and who you aren't, that's really built around production and movement and constant movement and multitasking and all these things that where value is placed around the most that you can do at any one time,
enslaving you. Go
that
ahead.
when you start to think about incorporating rest, it may not even feel natural to you. It feels like resistance. It feels like you're going against the norm, and you really are. You really are. And I just want to normalize that that is okay. One of the gifts that I feel like is coming out of COVID when it comes to our culture, it's just that we really were required collectively across the world
Mm,
to start to slow down.
mhm.
And that doesn't mean like we I know that we had essential workers, quote unquote, those folks who never stopped working. They were always somewhere. They were put in precarious situations. We lost lots of people, but even in that, it required us collectively to slow down. And working on a college campus, I hear so many just things that are said about the upcoming generation. They're lazy, they don't want to work, they don't
Mm.
show up, you can't get them to get engaged, you can't get them to come out, you don't. But I think some of that will change, but I think it's also a beautiful thing that they aren't necessarily coming into their college existence or coming into their work existence with those same kind of work your finger to the bone,
Grind it out every
grind
time.
it out every time, right? Without question type of mentality. There is a time to grind it out, and there's a time to snore it out and to just get some rest. And so, you have any closing thoughts? Because then I'm gonna just close up because I really just wanted you all to just come and kind of hang out. I invited my babe just so that I wasn't in here talking to myself, and also to have another opinion. The blessing that I have is that I have a partner who also we're growing in our understanding of rest. I'm not going to say we're at the same place or that we've started even
Mm.
at this place, but we've also seen each other at that point of exhaustion to where we have taken this pivot together, kind of as a couple and individually, to really start to prioritize and normalize what resting, rejuvenation, and self care looks like, what it can look like, and the value of it.
The one thing I would, whether it's rest, whenever you make the chance, or excuse me, whenever you take the chance to improve yourself through rest, through education, through exercise, at some point or another, whether it's the people around you or it's something within you from when you were younger, whatever the trauma might have come from, even if it's not a trauma,
Hmm.
the feeling or the idea of guilt.
Yes.
I'm gonna lay here for 5 seconds, and part of you won't allow yourself to rest because you feel like you're supposed to be doing
Hmm.
something else. You feel like you're stealing a little piece of something that's not supposed to be for you. And so, to
Hmm.
if anything that I can press upon people, is like under try to understand the emotion for what it is. It may not be guilt for you, it may be shame, it may be something totally different,
Yeah.
but understand the why this isn't feeling natural when it should be one of the most naturalist things that happens. Like telling some
Absolutely.
total different idea, but telling someone you love them or you care for them. And sometimes it's so weird to do that because you haven't been raised that way.
Mhm.
May be easy for some people, but
Harder for
difficult for
others.
others. It's no different in terms of resting. So
Mhm. And resting, you can think of it as you telling yourself, right? I love you.
there you
I
go.
care for you. I want you to be around. Right. I want to live to a ripe old age. I want to be like Betty White, like out here still doing it and getting around, and people like this chick's still alive. So that when I close my eyes, I'm not arriving. I also don't want to arrive to death exhausted.
Mm,
Do that make sense? Maybe you don't, and maybe you do. But when I think about moving into that transition,
mm,
I don't want to arrive there exhausted.
beat up.
I can't imagine that on that at that moment I'm gonna be thinking like of all the things I got done. I keep hearing people say it's all the things that they wish they had done, right? The times they wish they had slowed down and just really enjoyed. And so I'll end with this. I started a meeting today with my work team, and you what you just said, babe, just reminded me of it. And one of the most beautiful things that I heard today at work, as I started the meeting, I asked everyone to share what was the best thing that happened either to them, for them, or through them over the 4-day weekend that we had due to Easter. And one of the most beautiful things was to hear a brother saying, I slept in and I didn't feel guilty about it.
Uh,
I didn't get up to like 11 and
mm,
I didn't feel guilty. Right. And so I don't want you to think of rest as just another to do item. We got plenty of stuff to do because that's just going to create anxiety. It's just one more thing you should, you should, you should. I need to. Somebody said it's on the list. I just want you to figure out and think about, right? How might you change your mindset around it so that you can normalize it as part of who you are and the way that you are and how you choose to show up.
Go ahead,
And
keep talking
Charles
in
is
that.
getting a head
Keep
start.
keep talking in that soft voice.
Yes, on that my soft, my therapy voice. So
Go ahead.
I thank you for spending time with me tonight. I'm always interested in hearing your thoughts, so go ahead and put those in the comments. Make sure you're subscribing to my YouTube channel at Your Sister Erica. Hit the thumbs up, hit the bell. Expect to see me, at least me here. I like to invite my babe. I'm not gonna call him my sidekick, but I like to invite him every now and then just so that I'm not talking to myself. But feel free to jump on live and comment, and let's get some communication and interaction going. I'm really interested in hearing how you're thinking about incorporating rest as part of your norm. And then what saboteurs have you identified? What are those things that are really just kind of keeping you from incorporating that rest or even thinking about rest in a different way? Okay. Erica Jefferson Rivers, your sister Erica. I hope you have a restful, rejuvenating, and wonderful remainder of your week. We love you so much, family. And say bye bye.
Rest of the week. I like that. Rest
Rest, the
of the
rest
week.
for the rest of the week.
Peace and
Ah,
love, people.
I love it. Peace.